I think in my mind, one of the things that distinguishes the Hizmet movement is its emphasis on tackling some of the toughest challenges in some of the toughest places. Its emphasis on not just ignoring religion, but embracing religion and interfaith dialogue, making it part of the conversation. I had the opportunity to visit Turkey twice, not just Istanbul and Ankara, but fortunately in this world that when you do good work, there are people who want to throw stones. Has a lot of work to do still to present My name is Jules Bailey. I'm a Multnomah County Commissioner for District 1, which is really the main parts of downtown Portland and the west side, a little bit of the east side of Multnomah County. I represent both rural areas and urban areas, so it's a very diverse district with a lot of different kinds of folks in it. The first time I was exposed to the Hizmet movement was actually through a friend and a colleague. Tim Freeman is a conservative Republican from Southern Oregon. I'm a Democrat from Portland, and as you might know, in Oregon, like many places in the United States, there's sometimes a perceived divide between Republicans and Democrats, urban and rural. Well, we became friends in the legislature, and he was exposed to the movement through a trip to Turkey. And he came back and he said, "This is amazing, you've got to try this." So I talked with two people who were affiliated with the local Pacifica Institute here, and ended up going on a Turkey trip with my wife. And it was very eye-opening. Not only was it incredible to visit Turkey, to meet the people, to be in a place that I'd never been before, but it was even more inspiring to learn about the movement, to see the good work it was doing firsthand, and to really get to know Pacifica Institute better. I've been so impressed with the Hizmet movement, and it's been an honor to be involved with it. As a Christian, I believe very strongly in doing good works, good deeds, making people's lives better. I've seen that exact belief structure from the Hizmet movement. To me, the Hizmet movement is about peace, it's about dialogue, it's about education, not just for Muslims, not just for Turks, but for everybody, for the world. And it's evident here, it's evident in Turkey, and it's evident in the places I've seen the Hizmet movement active around the world. I really value the interfaith work that the Hizmet movement fosters and facilitates. To have people of different faiths who can come together and share in the common human beliefs and needs of peace and dialogue is incredibly important. It helps us understand each other better and build a common understanding. The Hizmet movement has introduced me to things that I didn't know about Islam. It's introduced me to people I didn't know in the Jewish community. And it's, I think, brought us to a better shared sense of who we are as a people, regardless of our religion, but really underscores that importance that we're all part of the human community, and we have an opportunity to coexist together. The charity activities of the Hizmet movement, I think, are one of its defining features, and that desire to bring aid to those in need, regardless of where they are or who they are. Shortly after I visited Turkey in 2011, just as we were leaving, there was the tragedy of the earthquake in Van, and Kimse Yokmu was right there, providing aid and assistance. In fact, my wife and I contributed to try to do a little bit, at least, of our part to help those victims. But we've seen the same thing not just in Turkey, but with programs that the Hizmet movement has been active in Cambodia and in places around the world where it's been involved in building societies that are post-conflict, in establishing schools and education, and providing aid to those who are in need and suffering. I'll never forget visiting, or at least driving by, the camps for Syrian refugees coming across the border and visiting the schools where those children were being educated. That is an investment in the next generation of leaders, not just in Turkey, but in other countries who will understand what peace, dialogue, and tolerance means. When I was in graduate school, I did a project with the United Nations Children's Fund on emergency education in post-conflict zones, and had an opportunity to study best practices and work in South Sudan in some of the most difficult environments in the world. I've seen the Hizmet movement take these principles and create education opportunities for people in some of the most difficult places around the world. In visiting Cambodia, for example, and the schools there, not just colleges, but schools for the youngest children, the Hizmet movement is part of helping that community tell its story and to build itself up, not in a way that is foreign or imported, but to allow Cambodians to tell their own story and to be part of creating their own narrative. That is a country that's coming back from zero, from some of the most horrific tragedies humanity has ever seen. And when you talk to Cambodians in Cambodia and visit their schools, they're so proud of the work that they've been able to do with the Hizmet movement to create what are really the finest schools in Cambodia. And I know that the movement is committed to expanding access so that all children have an opportunity to visit those schools someday, and to doing it in more places around the world. I have an enormous amount of respect for Mr. Gulen. Fethullah Gulen is a leader globally for peace, for interfaith dialogue, for communication amongst cultures and amongst communities. He has been a beacon of hope for so many people around the world. I particularly appreciate that he was one of the first to condemn the attacks on the World Trade Center on 9/11. He has been one of the first to condemn ISIS and its extremist activities. It's not just about providing an example for others, but it's about acting on that example. And as he has condemned violence, he's acted on peace. And that, I think, makes him somebody that the world should celebrate, and somebody that we should look to as an example of what can happen when we come together. It's difficult to pick one significant contribution that Fethullah Gulen and the Gulen movement and the Hizmet movement have made to the world. But if I had to pick one, I would say it's education. Education is the foundation of society, of community, and of increasing understanding and awareness. The emphasis on education, especially in countries where good schools are hard to come by, is inspiring, and I think will foster the next generation of global leaders who are raised in a setting of tolerance and who are looking to create better linkages with other ideas and other economies around the world. It's difficult for me to say how the Hizmet movement represents Islam, because Islam is a complex and very diverse religion, in the same way that as a Christian, I come from a very diverse and complex religion. But I believe that the Hizmet movement, to the extent that it represents peace and common understanding and communication and dialogue, represents the best of humanity. And I think the Hizmet movement is a wonderful ambassador for Islam in a way that allows all of us to come together in common understanding. There are a lot of great organizations around the world doing a lot of important work. I think in my mind, one of the things that distinguishes the Hizmet movement is its emphasis on tackling some of the toughest challenges in some of the toughest places. Its emphasis on not just ignoring religion, but embracing religion and interfaith dialogue, making it part of the conversation, of making sure that education in post-conflict areas is part of the solution, of providing aid in disasters. It's like a firefighter running into the burning building. The Hizmet movement is focused on where it's needed most, and I think that says volumes about the willingness of its members to get involved. Having now had the opportunity to visit Turkey twice, not just Istanbul and Ankara, but Diyarbakir and Gaziantep and Şanlıurfa and some of these areas, I've had an opportunity to see a lot of different sides and facets of the movement's work in Turkey. I've also had a chance to see it in Thailand and Cambodia. I have to say, one of the times that stands out most to me was a food pantry that we visited in eastern Turkey. And we were working with a Kurdish gentleman who was affiliated with the movement as he provided basic food materials to people in need, anybody who was in need who came through, clothing, oil, basic foodstuffs. Seeing the look on the faces of these women that were coming in who didn't know where to turn for hope, but had found a place that would embrace them, that would give them something that they could use to keep their family going at least for another week, and to build that trust and that outreach, it was very impactful and powerful to me. It is inevitable, unfortunately, in this world that when you do good work, there are people who want to throw stones. And the fact that the movement is sometimes criticized within Turkey as being perhaps too affiliated outside Turkey, and it's sometimes criticized outside Turkey as being too affiliated with Turkey or with Islam, I think shows that you're probably right where you want to be, in the middle, and somebody that's willing to work with everybody. I think that you're known by your work, and a tree is known by the fruit that it bears. We can see from the fruit of the Hizmet movement that that fruit is peace, that it's dialogue, that it's education. And in my mind, there's nothing wrong with that. I think the Hizmet movement has a lot of work to do still to present itself to the wider world, to communicate about what it is, and who Mr. Gulen is. That kind of communication and outreach, I think, will only help strengthen its activities. And I look forward to seeing the Hizmet movement continue to partner with other organizations that are doing good work around the world, in the United States and elsewhere. I consider the Hizmet movement an important partner here in Multnomah County, in the Portland area, and I look forward to seeing the movement even more deeply involved. As I've visited schools that are affiliated with the movement, one of the things that's impressed me is the emphasis on excellence. These students receive the best. They get education from internationally renowned teachers. They get access to computers. They get the best textbooks. They get these things in places where that's not always common. And so it's not just a commitment to education, but it's a commitment to excellence. And it's done so in a way that isn't about proselytizing or converting. It's done so as an investment in human capital. And I think that's one of the most impressive things I've seen.
The Hizmet movement has achieved considerable success in a type of dialogue, in their dialogue centers and in schools, where there's an openness to opposing ideas and a respect for the other.
I believe that we are all connected to each other and with each other. And one of the things I really enjoy about Hizmet is that opportunity to participate, not just in dialogue, but in actually doing things.